through my CS journey and what I've done over the past few years. So, I went to University of Virginia and I majored in computer science there. And after my first year, I was like applying to a bunch of internships. And when you're at your first year, it's very hard because you don't really have experience and companies really don't take you seriously. So I applied to around 400 internships before I finally got my first one. And that was at TD Bank. And then after that, I got an internship at Uber ATG, which is the Advanced Technology Group after my first year, which did self-driving at Uber, which was really interesting and a really fun experience. So I accepted that internship. So that was when I was 18 years old. And then I graduated college when I was 19. And I started full time for Amazon actually. And that was a pretty good experience. I liked my team and I worked there for around a year. Then I left to work at Google. And at Google, I was on the Chromecast team. So I worked there for a couple of months, but at big tech, like I think it was Jack that was at Google previously, he did say that like you're a really small cog in a big machine. So, and I really felt that. So I wanted to do something a little bit more where I would have a bigger impact on a smaller company. So right now I'm actually at a startup where I've been working for a few months. My LinkedIn isn't updated because I haven't really gotten to it. But I worked at a startup, and the work you do at a startup, you learn so much more. So I've been working for around like 6, 7 months at this startup, and I've learned a lot more than I have over the past 2 years at big tech. So at big tech, you really use like the internal processes that they already have built, such as like their code complete, their like a bunch of other like build tools, right? But at the startup, you have to build those yourself, right? And that when you do that, you learn so much more. And that's what I've felt at the startup, right? So, and on the side, I'm actually trying to develop some of my own things as well, like some side projects. So I have that, um, and I'm doing that as well. So my number one advice when applying to like internships or full-time positions is first of all, like you have to apply to around like 10 a day. That's what I was doing before I got my first internship. There was a lot of tools that UVA provided us, like Handshake, and that was the biggest one that I used. So use all the tools that are at your expense, right? And I would say that um yeah, so after that, also like the side projects that you do have to be like focus on the side projects that you have passion for. So the main side project that I did that got a lot of recognition was actually a stocks project. And I've been able to connect with a lot of finance people in terms of like that work at like Citadel, Jane Street, because of this project that I've done. So do projects that you're passionate about because they'll really exemplify your during your interview that you can talk about, right? And so I see this one question about like um how do you turn your side project into uh a business? It's really depends if it can be monetized, right? So a lot of like side projects can't be monetized because you're just doing them for fun. But if there's demand for the side project that you're working on, then there's a potential business idea, right? And I would like to open the floor for more questions. I feel like Jessica and Jack did a great job describing like the whole process. And I feel like my time can be better spent answering some of the questions that people have had.
I love that. You know what? We're gonna spend the next 8 minutes or so in just answering questions, and I want to ask you the first two, Karan. So, Karan,
Okay.
are you working anything on the side?
Yeah, so on the side, I'm also doing some content creation that I do. Like I post on Instagram and TikTok. I post like once a day and I do some tech content, some finance content, and because I have like a big passion for finance as well as technology. So that's the type of content I create on the side. Other than that, I am doing some other side projects that relate to more specifically coding. that I find that I'm trying to like create a business out of. But those are the main things that I do on the side. So
Very cool.
I and I highly encourage people to do like projects on the side that they want to do.
So, Karan, what is your handle? Let me see if I can pull it up. Uh, this is
Sure.
actually how I met you. Anyone who was here in our last event when Sajjad was the speaker, anyone here in the last event, drop in the chat. I know he was one of the speakers, Karan. So
Yeah,
I had actually met you because you had done like there you are, right? That's you. I
yeah,
don't jack up the car or something. But this is your link. This is your Instagram. So let me go ahead and plug you. I maybe want to clean up that handle there. But I think I'm really looking forward to like your content because I think you talk a lot about finance, and I think
yeah,
that's a very important part. Um, you know what? I'm gonna skip my second question and jump right into like what the folks are saying. So guys, if you have some
for
questions,
sure.
please drop in the chat. Um, Karan, when I meet new grads who don't have a job, don't have an internship, literally an empty resume except for like their CS major,
Yeah.
how do they reinvent themselves?
How do they reinvent themselves? So the number one thing would be to do side projects. And then after you get side projects under your belt, there's a lot of free unpaid internships that people do where the bar is a lot easier to get through. So do side projects and then try to find unpaid internships. When I was during my first year, when I got Uber, I actually did two unpaid internships during the school year. And I found those using like us.gov like jobs, right? And those were totally unpaid. And I was just doing them to get experience and fill out my resume. So those are some of the ways that helped me get more interviews. So that's some of the ways you can reinvent yourselves if you're trying to look into that.
Very cool, very cool. Awesome. So the other question that I had lined up here was how much time do you spend writing the questions on the application? Like if you did 400, did you have like a ATS, like Chrome extension or something like that? Or did you actually write it out? Did you fill out every link? What's your process of that?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of tools
Yeah.
like Handshake and LinkedIn that there's this like quick apply feature that just sends your LinkedIn profile. And if you have your resume attached to that, then all you have to do is like click a button and it sends your application within a minute. Same thing with Handshake. So all I had to do was like type in name, upload resume, and Handshake has quick apply. So you can apply to like 10 a day pretty easily, and it would take like 20 minutes to apply to 10 a day.
What looks better on a resume? Habib asks, what looks better on a resume? Sweet job or sweet internship for a freshman?
What do you mean by job, like a full-time job or
I would assume, yeah, I would assume full-time job.
I think the main thing is people first look at company that you've worked at. So I think like a Google internship would be more better than a no-name full-time job. Whereas, and then, but if you have a Google full-time job compared to a Google internship, then the full-time job outweighs. But first, I think it's like what company, and then full-time, and then internship.
Um, how did you balance school and internship at the same time? The two unpaid ones, for example.
Yeah, so at UVA, my first year, like my first semester wasn't too bad, right? So I was given a lot of time to apply. But the main thing is like what I did personally, and people can do this if they want, but it's not like a one one idea fits all type of thing, right? So I always put school like on the back burner and focused on like applying to internships, doing interviews, like connecting with people. Because especially in CS, like your grades like matter to an extent, but it's more about the projects, the experience, the internships, right? And then your GPA. Like that's probably the fourth most important thing. Whereas like if you're like in med school, then GPA is number one, right? But priorities kind of shift in CS.
Yeah, I completely actually resonate with that. So I like to think of myself when I was an undergrad, I did two things: absorb and learn outside of school. Absorb means meet people better than me, smarter than me, older than me, who I can learn from. So in my school, we'd have an incubator, and a lot of you guys may have started accelerators. Incubators, a great place. First of all, anyone who starts a startup, No one in their right mind starts a startup. You got to be stupid, crazy, and idiotic in some way to start a startup, right? And either stupid rich, or stupid genius, or stupid connected, right? Or stupid idea that no one else believes. And we had this guy who had two masters from MIT, and he was raising like tens of millions of dollars, but he had to work on campus because my school was public funded. And to get visa, he had to be on our campus. And so I got to listen to his talks. Anytime you get to listen to talks, absorb, right? And the other thing about learning about school, for me, personally, I did like about 8 boot camps while I was an undergrad, some after, and that's how I did, different programming languages. Um, Someone said they had an internship at a top tech company, but it's finding it hard to land an internship this summer. Karan, you came out in a good market. What was
Yeah.
your bad market?
Yeah, bad market is definitely way more challenging with the layoffs happening. Companies are reducing their headcount, like maybe due to like the economy state, but also like AI, right? So in a bad market, I feel like the most important thing is getting a referral because they'll go through thousands of resumes to fill like 5 spots, right? So the chances of you even getting an interview are low if they interview like 30 people, right? So the main thing is having a referral. Like there wasn't a time where I had a referral and I didn't hear back. So being connected in a bad market is very important. So definitely network as much as you can with individuals and attend events like these so you can network, right? But those are my main things for a bad market. But easy when it's a good market, which hopefully we'll get out of this bad market soon, then it becomes much easier. You don't totally need a referral, but it'll help you a lot. But in a bad market, referrals will definitely help you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree there, Karan. So, Karan, I want to ask you something. So this is your LinkedIn right here,
Mhm.
right? You said you went through a grind, and it looks like I believe a lot of people dream is to one day work at Google, right? For you,
Yeah,
you left that, you got the dream, and now you move on to the next part of your dream,
yeah,
correct? Now, like we said, it's a bad market, and we both of us believe in the idea of networking and meeting folks. So what I did here, this is our landing page right here, Karan, just quick
yeah,
TLDR. And here I wrote down like what people should have in their resume, how this should apply with the idea of volume. You apply to 400 when the market is good. That means if the
yeah,
market is bad, you got to at least apply to even more potentially. And
yeah,
I believe interview prep and getting lucky is all about meeting people, seeing how they recognize opportunities and being able to seize opportunities. So of course, you being here is helping us give us insight because we're trying to feel your shoes. I wanted to actually show you. This is our product, and I know you have seen a little bit demo in the past, and
mhm,
it's changing a little bit time to time. You have seen it before, and I'm not gonna play it much. Yeah, I got this back. It's an interactive tool that you can talk with. In addition to that, we've also added accountability. So every week, people have to sync up with an advisor, and they have to talk about what they did, 3 to 5 problems, and they did. We are also providing blogs and content. What do you think a tool like this is importance in today's market?
yeah. So when I was applying for internships, we didn't really have a tool like this. So what I did was mainly using LeetCode, but this is definitely a better platform than LeetCode because you get so much more for your buck, right? There's so if you're struggling finding any job or struggling with interviews, I highly recommend using a tool like this because if I was a freshman or looking for an internship or a job, I would definitely use something what Yassine just shared, like the Head Starter event, because those tools are definitely priceless and like whatever the pricing is, like $40 a month, that's way cheaper than what your offer is going to be, right? So paying that for a simple tool for a simple for a job offer will be so much super worth it, right?
Yeah, really